just be two of us tonight, Sunny
Well,
Danforth.
it can be however you would like it to be. David Darnell, who's not Sunny Danforth. I'm the real Sunny Danforth here.
Now, how do we know you are the real Sunny Danforth?
Because I can prove it. I do have identification and a passport that says I am. So,
Ah,
hey, it's how are you doing over there, David?
we're doing good. We're going to get a tremendous amount of rain tonight here in our lower valley elevation. We're at about 1,400 feet, which means the hills around us will be covered in snow by morning. And so I'm kind of thinking about the things that I did this summer. And when I mean that, I think the dirt that I moved this summer. And I'm
Oh
thinking,
yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to go look at some of these places in the morning and see how badly I did.
Yeah.
We're supposed to get like 2 inches of rain.
Oh man. Oh yeah. You
That's a
know what?
lot.
Anytime you
That's a
have
lot of
freshly moved dirt, it can lead to slides and whatnot.
yeah.
Definitely.
It happened to me a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, and I've learned since then. It was a poorly done project that I did, and I didn't do that this time. I did it, the way it should be done. And but I think there's a few drainage details, that we didn't get to because it's always a hurry, hurry, hurry. We'll come back in the fall and do that before it starts raining. Well, hell,
Yeah, right.
yeah. Now it's fall and it's raining. I'm thinking, oh man.
Yeah. And now we're in winter, so we're in winter and David's freezing up a little bit there, but he'll catch up. I know he will. Um, so we've got a few things to cover tonight. And you know what? Hey, it's nice to see our some of our audience here. It is. Where do you want to start? And so we're going to get some rain over here and tonight and tomorrow, and then we're going to get some snow. And I just got rid of the ice today off of my driveway.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I try to keep when it snows to clear it so that it doesn't get all packed down and just turn into ice and turn into an
Right.
ice skating rink there. But
Right.
so we got it gone today.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we don't. I hope this doesn't turn into snow for us, because if it does, every time it snows at my house, trees fall down, and
Oh,
there's trees everywhere. So I'm not real happy about that. But
well, that's not good. Why do the trees fall down just because
well,
it's
because I
snow?
haven't cut them down yet.
We have trees that have finally lost their leaves. I actually have a Chinese maple and still has leaves on it.
Really?
And yeah, we've had snow. We've had
Yeah.
about 6 inches of snow here already, and six, maybe seven total, all total, and it still has leaves on there. And I posted last night, we've got 2 hummingbirds, David. We've
Nice.
we've had one hummingbird, and then just last week I go, that's a different one. And so sure enough, that one for sure is a female, and I'm thinking the other one is a young male, ruby throat, but I haven't been able to identify them. And yeah, it's kind of cool to see them because it is so bloody cold out there. Right now it isn't, but
Yeah.
when it was 17 degrees, going, okay, have you guys still showing up? And yes, they are.
Yeah. If I was a humming, I'd be home. I'd be at home, curled up in a nest for sure.
I know.
That's
Hope, they migrate too, but not all of them. Some of them stick around. And this year, anyway, the smoke didn't drive them away because we didn't have the smoke this year. Well,
Yeah, we
listen,
didn't.
where do you want to start?
Well, let's talk about what's going on at the RNC. There seems to be a lot of talk among Republicans, and I think most of us are Republicans. Of course, we are on the show, and there's probably most of our audiences as well. But there seems to be a lot of talk among Republicans about maybe changing leadership at the Republican National Committee, the RNC, which is the the National Organization for Republicans in the United States because, frankly, we didn't do all that great. Traditionally, the party that's not, or the incumbent party loses quite a bit in a midterm election. I mean, that just happens all the time. And the incumbent party, the Democrats that had the majorities, did not lose that much. I mean, we lost a Senate seat. We lost a couple of governorships. Here in Oregon, we lost a brand new congressional district seat that we really needed to get because the power of incumbency would keep that seat most likely Republican. So I mean that was a big loss for Oregon. It's nice that we flipped the congressional district 5 with Lori, but nonetheless we needed that CD6. So there's a lot of people calling for Ronna McDaniel to stop either. Well, there was a letter written by Roger. Is it Villiers? Is that how you pronounce his name? I think it's Villiers.
Roger Valeri.
No. Okay. Well, anyways, Roger's
Villery. It's Villery. Roger Villery. Yeah, Roger I've met him. I'm got to get my brain back here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've met him as well. Yeah. But, I'm not real good with names. Anyways, he wrote a letter to Ronna McDaniels, asking her to actually not run because apparently at an RNC meeting publicly on stage, she declared that this term that she's now serving out would be her last and that she would not run again. And then I'm not sure, sometime in the recent past here, she changed her mind and decided she's going to run again and was seeking endorsements and all of that stuff. And there seems to be just a lot of talk out there that says, hey, you didn't do that well. Maybe we should change coaches.
Yeah. And, so I just posted the article from Just the News and Roger Villery, he is the former vice chair of the RNC, but he is also the chairman of the Republican National Conservative Caucus. Right. And he's the national committeeman from Louisiana. And it is so with him calling for her to not run, to honor her commitment to not seek another term. I think that is actually speaking volumes. And then in this article, it also says that Oregon's National Committeeman Solomon Yu is saying pretty much the same thing. He says I have been very concerned about whether or not we can keep this republic since we lost the White House in 2020. And I have also seen Biden's council culture revolution happening everywhere in America. And he has lost confidence in McDaniel's leadership based on the past performance. And quite frankly, when Trump lost the re-election, I was very surprised that she didn't step down or wasn't asked to step down, because that's a huge loss. That was a huge loss. I mean,
it is a huge loss. I mean, there's only a handful of presidents. I guess maybe a couple handfuls of presidents that have lost a second term, especially one as successful as Donald Trump was in his first term, 2016 to 2020. But yeah, I think there's probably some merit, especially since she said she was going to run again, to hand the reins to somebody else and give them another shot at it. I know that Solomon, knows what's going on at the RNC, and Solomon is also a founding member of that RNC Conservative Caucus as well. He gets it. He knows what's going on, and
yes, and then you add in last week's Tuesday's Georgia runoff, and the GOP lost that one. And both committeemen, Roger Villery and Solomon Yu, predicted that more committee members will come out against McDaniel publicly if she does not drop her bid for re-election. And I think she should honor her, the first comment of "I will not be seeking reelection. This will be my last term," and just go out with grace and let some new leadership come in and some new energy. But
Yeah.
that is not the only person who is asking for that. And I'm going to post a tweet here, and I don't know this person, and I'm not on Twitter, but this is from Ned Ryan, and saying, hearing that GOP chairwoman spent 7 figures on private jets, 6 figures
7
on
figures, like
7 figures.
more than $1 million on private jets.
Yep. 6 figures on staff spa retreats, tens of thousands on clothes at Nordstrom, all party funds, by the way. Oh, and if we lose Georgia tonight, she'll be 0 for 5 in elections while chair.
Wow.
I mean, that's not a winning track record at all.
Wow. I had no idea. I had no idea that I had no idea that RNC contributions were spent on private jets and spa retreats and clothes. If I'd known there was a clothes budget for the chairman, I probably would have sought to be one. Probably would have tried to climb the ladder and get me some nice Italian suits out of the deal. But yeah, that's that's not a good look, is it?
No, it isn't. It's well, hey, I'm here and I'm just going to spend the money as I wish. And there's been several people that have decided to throw their hat in the ring. I only know of 2, and I like what Lori says. That's why audits are important. Well, there you are. That's a good statement.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's a hard sell. I mean, there's a lot of national organizations that are, on our side and on the conservative side, on the right side of things, that have, had their spending exposed. And it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you're sending people mail saying, "Hey, we need, can you give us $5?"
Right. And so I've just posted that Harmeet Dillon, who is from California, she is the national committee woman from California. And she's also a very successful lawyer that has been fighting on election integrity, among other things. I've had the opportunity of meeting her, hearing her speak. I believe she's the chair for the Western Division right now at the RNC. And she wants to run for national committee woman. And I'll tell you, we've had her not here on Captive Audience, but when we were doing Inside Scoop, I had Harmeet Dillon on there. I'm sure you remember that, David.
I absolutely do.
And so as I was looking around today at some different things, finding that she is running as for the chair of the RNC. And personally, I like her energy. She's a very, very smart woman. And she is quite a news contributor as well. She's very well spoken. And so on this website of hers, I had a chance to look at it a little bit. She has some ideas, and I'm kind of think that some of that is pretty good in what I had looked around. And why is she running? Because she says that she's got an agenda for the RNC's future there. And I can tell you, so we have, if I was an RNC member, I believe I would be voting for Harmeet Dillon. I mean, I only know that we have Zeldin. What's the other fella's name?
Zeldin is not running. He decided not to run. So the only people running are McDaniel, Dillon, and Mike Lindell. And I've met, I guess I've met everyone. And I've spent quite a bit of time with Mike. And I don't think Mike's the right guy for the job, personally. Sorry,
Well,
Mike.
I've not had the
I still
opportunity.
like your pillows.
I like what Mike Lindell is doing, and but I think it's really good somebody coming up from the ranks and knows what the RNC is about, but also has the, like for Harmeet Dillon, she's got the finances to do this. She doesn't need the money. She's very, very, very successful. And as I said, very, very well spoken. So
Of course,
when I
Mike
heard
does.
Mike Lindell announce that he was running, he goes, "Hey, I run a multi-million-dollar organization. I can do this too." Well, the political game is different from running an
Oh,
organization like that.
it's
Way
night.
different.
It's night and day. There's no comparison whatsoever.
No.
Anybody who thinks as a business person that you can run a volunteer organization like like the GOP, and the RNC has plenty of paid staff. So it's easier than, say, like the Oregon Republican Party, who has, I don't know if they still have paid executive director or not, but for decades, did not have any paid staff. It's just way different. You can't run government like a business either. Business gives you certainly some wisdom and some insight and some executive management tools that you can use, but it's they're not in the same. They're apples and oranges. But Mike does have his own jet, so at least maybe we'd save a few $1 million on that.
Hey, I have no idea if Harmeet might. You know what? I have no idea because she has been involved in lawsuits all over the place, and
Well,
also
you got to do some big tobacco company sized class actions if you want to power your own jet.
yeah. So I don't know in that regard, but I'll tell you what, she has what it takes, I think. I
Yeah,
think
I
she
think
would
so.
be an excellent, excellent choice.
Yep. I don't have a vote, but I'd vote for, and I would encourage everyone, if you're a precinct committee person or otherwise in the Oregon Republican Party, to encourage. You don't have to encourage Solomon, because Solomon is already supporting Harmeet Dillon, and I'm almost certain that Justin, the chair, Huang, will support her as well. But we do have a national committee woman, Tracy Honnell, who has already endorsed McDaniel. Apparently, I don't know if she's looking to keep the status quo or what, but so we have
She
two out of three.
has.
She has, yeah, she has. So, McDaniel, I think, before, I don't know if it was before the election or what, but she reached out to the 168, the RNC members, looking for endorsements, and she got quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's national committee woman was one of those. So I think that's going to change, given the dismal election results that we saw in the midterms, and hopefully that'll change with Tracy Honnell as well, because I think Dillon is a much better choice.
Well, I would hope so, and endorsements can change, opinions can change. I mean, clearly, Ronna McDaniel said that was going to be the last time she was not going to run, and now she's
Right.
saying she has. And I do hope that more of the 168, 100, that the RNC members would actually also call for her to just step aside, pull her run, and let's get Harmeet Dillon elected. Quite frankly, that would
Yeah.
be wow,
Well,
great energy and
there
smart.
is one wild card. There is one wild card in this, and that's if Donald Trump chimes in with a preferred candidate. So I know him and Lindell are pretty close. They're pretty tight. So I
Well,
guess we'll
and
see.
even Trump, Trump had backed Ronna, I think, after he lost, and I was like, what, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I know at some time, I don't remember exactly when he did that, but he did do that, and mm. So you do have a
Yeah.
very valid point there. Let's see who he supports.
Yeah, that'll have a big influence on how the RNC votes, I'm sure, because I think both you and I were at the RNC meeting for their last election, weren't we? Weren't we
Yes.
both there at the same time? Yeah. And basically, what it boiled down to, and basically what it's boiling down to, as far as I'm concerned, in the Oregon Republican Party, is those is it's it's a battle between the never Trumpers and those who believe in American exceptionalism. And we saw that at the RNC
Yeah.
in the last election. It was clear who was on board, who was America First, and who was not.
Yeah.
And those America First or American exceptionalism supporters were elected at the RNC, and I think that worked out pretty good. I think maybe there's one candidate. I guess they didn't quite get, or one position they didn't quite get. But for the most part, it was the Never Trumpers. Were vanquished at the RNC in that last election that you and I attended, and we've seen it. We've seen it in the Oregon Republican Party. The whole senator takeover was a bunch of never Trumpers. I mean, Dallas Hurd would not say the word Trump if he had a mouthful. I was going to say,
remember, he's the one who wanted to bring the unaffiliated voters, open up our primary.
yeah. Well, he had a plan. He had a plan, and that was part of his plan. His plan was to take over the ORP, get all the money, use the mechanism, get all of the data, use it directly for him to become the nominee for governor. I mean, that was his plan. Everybody in the Salem House knew that. Everybody in the Marble Nut House knew that. Everybody told me that, and that was the plan. Unfortunately, he's kind of a con man, and he conned a bunch of people. But it was basically that was it. I mean, you see attacks on members of the executive committee in the Oregon Republican Party, and they're all Trump. They're all the people who are being attacked are Trump supporters.
They are, and I don't, that part I don't understand. When I read and I see and I hear people that are attacking people that have been, and I've been attacked. You've been attacked. I've been attacked because we've been involved with the party. We're trying to move the party in a good direction. So to be called a rhino, are you kidding me? That is like so overused, and
Yeah.
is and in fact, I got to tell you, I was thinking
Well,
about
we are rhinos to the establishment, to the status quo, to the old boys club, because they don't think we are what Republicans should be. So they think of us as rhinos. I had a guy tell me that. When I ran for office, I did the unforgivable sin of primarying a sitting Republican. He says, "You're no Republican." Well, whatever.
Well, I am, and I see Patty said, Patty was attacked, and as well, there's been lots of people attacked, and so I saw Erickson's lawsuit going forward for his slander and libel, and I go, oh yeah, maybe I'm going to have to do that. Never know.
Maybe.
Never know.
Maybe.
Lots of evidence out there.
There's really, there's some really good people. I've seen, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chairs of the Oregon Republican Party, and since I've been a member of the state central committee, which I'm no longer, but was for all those years, right? Yeah. And there's some really good, selfless, non-personal agenda driven people that have been at the helm, and there's some really people that were not there to make the party better either,
right.
And some of the people that have been in the party a long time, like Solomon Yu, he gets a bad rap because he came in and he upset that apple cart, the old boys club, the status quo, the way it was, and they didn't want some, frankly, some Chinaman coming in and being, more conservative and more America centric, because he's, escaped communist China, and some of our greatest patriots have escaped communist countries. They didn't want, they didn't like that, and they have, they keep attacking him, and that gets passed on to a generation, and people believe that. It's shit is what it is. People believe it. Sorry for excuse my French, but it's garbage.
but you're speaking, it's true. What you're saying is absolutely true, because there is, if somebody hears something about someone, instead of going to the source and talking to them themselves, do a little research. And I remember when one time when Solomon, I had heard a bunch of things about him, and Solomon was running for national committee woman or committeeman to get reelected. And he called up, and I said, so I want to know about you. This is the things I heard. I want you to tell
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
about you. And I had the conversation, and that's what more people should do. He's very, very approachable.
Yeah.
And all of us are, but to slander somebody. And I will say too, Solomon has done so much for the Oregon Republican Party in a positive way, and moving our party forward in a conservative way, which I think it's the liberal side, the more liberal side of our party. And I've heard some go, oh yeah, well now we have now we have a mandate. We've got to go more liberal in our Republican Party. I don't think so. I think we need to be tolerant of each other. We're all Republicans, and that's okay. And be tolerant, and let's attack the Democrats. Let's win the damn race and attack the Democrats instead of shooting each other.
Yeah, if you can't identify who the enemy is, you're going to lose the war. And the enemy's on the other side. The enemy's not within our ranks. But there, like you say, there's a whole squadron. I mean, there's not a lot of them. They're but there's not that many in numbers. But there's a squadron of people that think that to win against Democrats, we need to get rid of a bunch of Republicans. Well, you can't win by division and subtraction. You can only win by addition and multiplication. That's a basic tenet of any kind of battle is, you need the numbers. And what we need to do is we need to be better at elections. Harmeet Dillon, I'm not sure how much she has had to do with it, but she is the national committee woman for the California GOP, and they have made gains, significant gains, in a state that is even more Democrat than Oregon, which is Democrat plus 10, which is blue as hell. They have made more gains in 2 consecutive cycles because they are using the same tactics that the Democrats are using. They are harvesting ballots, which is perfectly legal in the state of California and the state of Oregon. And we need to start playing that game. It's not about sine waves or rallies or even messaging as much as it is about getting the damn ballots in through the door and getting them counted.
You're absolutely right. And the days of we have to change the game, how we're doing it in order to win. And if these are the rules and this is what we can do, and that's how the Democrats are winning, then we need to do it short of cheating, right? Because I think they're cheating. But short of cheating,
well, I'm sure they are.
And so now, and the message that I'm hearing from a lot of conservatives, a lot of what I would call Republican people nationally is, you know what? We can't wait until election day to vote. We've got to vote early because we've got to make sure people are getting their ballots turned in and doing the harvesting. And in fact, one of my PCPs, so we had a meeting last Tuesday, and one of my PCPs said, you know what? So part of the meeting that we had, because we had been in campaign mode, right after the election of new PCPs. So she said she went to some of the senior citizen centers and, senior housing areas and talked to the voters there. And you know what? That's what we've got to do. And I just applauded her for what she was doing there. I thought it was really, really good. And we need to get out there and help the voters get their ballots off the table more.
Yes, the cornerstone of the effort in California was the ballot drop boxes in the churches. And that was the cornerstone. That was the anchor. That's where they started, and they went out from there. They went out to nursing homes. They went out everywhere. Well, it's the same thing that Democrats do. And, we need, Democrats are out collecting votes, ballots, as soon as they're filled. Well, maybe, maybe even before they're filled out, but they're out there collecting ballots 20 days before.
Right.
Am I frozen? No,
Election
I'm not.
day.
Okay.
No, you're not frozen.
Yeah, 20 days before election day. And we're all like, hold your ballots to the very last day.
Now he's frozen. But I've got to say, David, even this past election, I'm going to just say it. I did that same thing in our county. We said, vote on election day. So, I'm going to change my message. And you know what? You grow and you change by changing your message, and doing things. And if people are not flexible, we have to be flexible and not be so rigid and stiff of this is always how we do things. No. You learn by doing, and we've got to change things up.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, stop doing it.
It's insanity to keep doing the same thing, expect different results. So
it is, it is, and it doesn't matter when you turn your ballot in. If you feel that that's how they cheat, and I'll say it again. I don't think a statewide candidate in the state of Oregon in a D+10 voter registration disadvantage should be expected to win. In order for a statewide candidate to win in D+10, we have to make extraordinary efforts. And I think part of that is using some of the same techniques that has been very effective for them. One of the things I heard during the last, and we're kind of going off topic here, but one of the things I heard during the last election is the Democrat candidate, no matter where they were, whatever it was, they hide. They won't do debates. They don't come out and see people and stuff. And that's not what it's about anymore. It's not what it's about anymore. The rules for elections have changed, probably irreversibly for the most part since 2020, and it's not about glad handing and rallies and debates. It's about getting the ballots.
Well, it is, but we also have to have, and Lori's doing a whole bunch of money signs. It is about money and messaging so that you can get the media out there, get the media and the messaging out there. At the same time, people, maybe Democrats don't care to see their candidates. I think the Republicans like to see the candidates, get to know who the heck they're going to vote for, especially when you have like in the primary, 19 people running, right, for the office. We've got to have a lot less candidates and people willing to let their egos be set aside and say, you know what, for the greater good, this person is better, and maybe my time comes. I don't know. It's
well, Lori is right, and thank you for that, Lori, because you don't know how many people call me a slimy swamp dwelling rhino because I emphasize how important money is in politics. You can have the best message in the world, and if nobody hears it, it doesn't matter. And the only way to make that happen is with money. The only way to make that happen is with television, with digital advertising. You're not going to do it on a bus tour, And our candidate for governor, man, she did 3-4 events a day. She was all over the state meeting with voters, and she did a great job. But in the end, it comes down to how many people hear your message. Well, really, those of us on the inside, we know that your message doesn't even matter. What it comes down to is how many times they hear your name.
Right. Because it is name recognition, and you've got to get your name out there across the state. It is name recognition. And once they, get a mailer and they're reading you and whatnot and go, okay, great. That's the one name. I want to remember who that is. So Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
you'd be amazed how many people on election. Well, you won't. You're not amazed because you're not amazed because you get the same calls I get. But the people listening would be amazed at how many people haven't the slightest idea who's running for office before they open their ballots. They just
Absolutely.
don't know.
It's astounding. And so so this was something that we just talked about on Tuesday, because if we've got to do more in voter education. And so how can we do more in voter education? And I had the opportunity last night to hear Cindy Timmons, who won county commissioner. She's our county commissioner elect right now. And she was speaking to the Roundup Republican women. And she said, I was very surprised to go meet people and they go, oh, I voted for you earlier. You're still running. You know, she says, how
Oh,
do we educate the voters? And she's right.
yeah. I don't think that battle is winnable, Sonny. In the numbers that you need to win it at, and that's why campaigns, regardless of where they're at or what they're running for, spend so much money on advertising because it comes down to hearing your name. Because the you know the final frontier for a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know if there's any data on this, but I am guessing most people don't even read the voter's pamphlet. And they open up their ballot and they start to vote it and they go, I don't know who these people are. So most people, and we know this for a fact from exit polling, most people, if they're Democrats, they'll vote for the D. If they're Republicans, they'll vote for the R. We know that. But besides that, it's name recognition. If you have, if you're an NAV, which is the largest amount of registered voters now in the state of Oregon, and you're not a D or an R, adjacent, or you don't have that bias, you're going to vote for the person whose name you've heard probably the most.
Yes, yes. It's I think we need to, I think the counties, I've now been reelected chair for Umatilla County, starting my third term.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I think as the county Republican Party chair, to try to do more in my county to educate voters. Go talk on the radio about voting.
Yeah, I
Doing
did that a lot as chair.
and
I did radio every week as chair
did
in
you?
Marion County. I did, yeah, and it helped. And it helped.
And
Well,
so
I think you're probably on the right path. You are on the right path there. When I said I don't think that we could accomplish.
well, he's frozen up, but I'm glad to hear I'm on the right path, because we were talking as a body, the central committee for Umatilla County, about things to do to help us. Sorry, you froze up there, David. And
Yeah, I got to talk to Elon Musk about that. I mean, this is not working out the way I'm paying for it, Elon. I pay $110 a month for my Starlink, and I expect that I'll be connected with a little bit more consistency than when I'm connected. It only shows up basically when I'm doing this. But what I was saying is, if we do it precinct by precinct and we cut it into cut the elephant into little chunks, I think we can have an effect on the voter. But it's also that contact that we can go talk to them in June, and they won't remember a damn thing until November. And so we need to ring them up and say, hey, it's, you probably don't realize this, but there's an election on Tuesday, and people go, oh, really? Because that's what you hear when you're out knocking doors. I mean, when I was knocking doors running for office, I went, hey, I'm David Darnell running for be your representative, and they go, oh, is there an election? And I go,
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, you're gonna get a ballot real soon.
yeah. Yeah, and they don't know who I'm running against, so they don't know who their representative is. They don't know when or if there's an election. I'll
Something
tell
I think people do look
you.
at is those mailers, like Oregon Watchdog, Taxpayer Association, they send a mailer with endorsements. And I think people do look at those, and everybody gets mail. Everybody gets mail. So we did a mailer for the first time, almost countywide, to the Republicans with our voter recommendation. And we handed them out at the fair, and we handed them out during Roundup. Plus, we were doing door to door and giving them out because so many people are busy with their life, not paying attention to they're just trying to keep their nose above water and make a living. And there's so many things going on that they're not paying attention to the politics and to the election. So I think that's another way of helping. When we've got to do more though in educating the voter.
Yeah, I agree. Is everybody tired of listening to us talk about how to win elections yet?
Hey, well,
Oh,
you had a heritage article.
oh yeah. Kind of it's like 2,000 mules.
If you want to
Uh,
cover that, I'm going to
yeah,
post
it's like
it.
so. Well, let's just quickly talk about it. So
Yeah.
they used the same strat. Not this organization. You did an investigation tracking illegal aliens as they leave the border, finding out where they're going by pinging their cell phone numbers, and it was some interesting stuff there that they were in I think every single congressional district in America. So they're being spread out. Far and wide. And the congressional districts with the highest concentration of illegal aliens are Republican districts. So they're being sent to Republican districts, most likely to, at least provide the opportunity for Democrats there to, exploit them and use them to, probably cheat an election.
Yeah, that article is quite interesting. How they were researching geofencing, or the movement of these illegals using geofencing.
Yeah.
And so I've posted that article there. I'll tell you what, take a look at it. The Heritage does a lot of Heritage Foundation does a lot of good work.
Yeah.
They do. And this really, really is interesting how they were looking at which facilities they're going to, who's helping them get there, and to realize that the different non-government agencies are facilitating getting these illegals moved all throughout our nation. It's the Underground Railroad, essentially.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And our buddy Michael Yan is down on the border now. He was out all last night with thermal imaging cameras and some other stuff, watching people cross the border. And he said it's just they're just coming over by the tens of thousands, and it's an invasion on our southern border.
Oh, it is.
And all other things aside, that's just not right. And the Biden administration is, of course, enabling this. And it's not going to turn out well for America. It hasn't turned out well for Europe. It's not going to turn out well for America.
No, it isn't. And now with the Democrats talking about amnesty, and for DACA and that whole thing. And I'll tell you, the Republicans have got to stand firm, and that's a big no.
Yeah.
It really is a big no. An amnesty, no. And citizenship, no. If you've come and entered this country illegally, it's a no. I don't think those should ever get to be citizens of our country.
Yeah.
And lawfully vote.
Even the Chinese figured it out centuries and centuries ago. I mean, they built a 15,000 mile wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Great Wall.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, and it's about that time, I would like to tell everybody that if you don't have a Twitter account, go get yourself a Twitter account and look at the Twitter files 1, 2, and Sunny let me know just before the show that 3 has been released, and these are files being released, internal files being released from Twitter, showing how the federal government agencies, FBI, the Biden campaign, all colluded with Twitter and Twitter's help to silence and censor, shadow ban, and do all sorts of things to people without their knowledge, which is once the federal government gets involved, once the FBI says, hey, take this tweet down, that is a violation of the First Amendment.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's not just Twitter. That's happening, I think, across the board of all of the social medias.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 I mean, Google, I'm sure Google is, if not the biggest offender, then Facebook is. But both Facebook and Google, I probably shouldn't say this because now we're going to get kicked off. But they're both doing this very same thing, and they have to be nervous over what Elon Musk is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not on Twitter, but I think I'll get on Twitter, David. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I do. I think I will too, because I'm all for free speech, and I do have but you know me, I don't really like any of this social media stuff.
I know you begrudgingly became a Facebook user because you were chair of the county.
That's exactly right. That's it. I used to go, no way in heck. But
yeah,
here I am.
Well, you're smart that way, Sonny.
Well, all right. Well, thanks.
You have a lot more time to live your life.
Well, that's true. I'll tell you what, social media is a big time consumer.
It's a time
so, hey,
suck.
everybody, thank you for being with us tonight. David, thank you. It's always fun. And thanks for filling in for me on Wednesday when I could not get here. I really appreciate it. And so we'll be back. Kevin will be back on Monday. And everybody share the message. Have a great weekend and stay safe out there if it turns into an ice skating rink.
Yep. Good night.